What's going on, everybody? Thanks for tuning back in. Today we're going to be doing a review of Mission Impossible Fallout. This is going to be both a spoiler review and a non-spoiler review. So I will throw a big spoiler warning on the screen when I'm going to get into details that'll, ruin the actual plot of the movie for you. But in the beginning, we're just going to go over my overall thought of the movie and, my overall thought of the franchise as it stands. So right off the bat, obviously this is the 6th movie, which is crazy to think that this franchise got 6 movies, but this is the 6th movie in the Mission Impossible franchise. The first 3, obviously, I kind of like to break them up into trilogies, if you would. Everybody does that when they come and give this many movies, but I consider the first 3 obviously to be a trilogy, and then movies 4 through 6 to be their own trilogy as well. 4 through 6 is by far the better of the movies in this franchise. It's crazy to think that they got better as they went on, but it's kind of like the Fast and the Furious franchise. Like, the first 3 movies are pretty terrible, but then after that you start getting into the characters becoming, more like heroes, like robbing people. So I don't know, it takes its own like Ocean's 11 caper style thing in those films. And in the Mission Impossible movies, they just were written better after the first 3. The J.J. Abrams took over in the 3rd one, or his company Bad Robot did, and from that point on, they were getting much better writing. They really just played to like everything that people wanted to see, and I loved them. From Ghost Protocol, Rogue Nation was just as good, and then this new movie. I didn't like Rogue Nation as much as I liked Ghost Protocol, but I think that this movie, the new one, Fallout, is probably right there with Ghost Protocol for me. They were both very good. Obviously, in all these movies, they seem to up the ante in making Tom Cruise, who does all his own stunts, which is freaking crazy. So they up the ante to make him do crazy shit. And in Ghost Protocol, he's on that crazy tall building in over in the Middle East, and I don't even know where that is. I don't know what. For some reason, the city it's in is escaping me right now. It's super ritzy in the middle of the desert there. But anyways, so he's on that building. That was crazy. And then the last movie, he's literally strapped to the side of a plane as it's taking off. This movie doesn't have anything quite that crazy, but when you see the amount of ground level stunts that they push into this film, it's nuts. I mean, it's not even that crazy of a scene, but there's a scene in this movie, and this is minor spoiler. It's not a plot or anything like that, where there's a very narrow roadway where there's cars completely piled on one side and a guardrail, and Tom Cruise is hauling ass down this thing on a motorcycle. And granted, they probably sped it up for the movie maybe, but even still, he has to go pretty quick for the effect. And like, you got to give him credit. He's a hell of a motorcycle driver getting around through the city like that. But this movie was very good. It's got a typical plot where it actually carries over, I think, from Rogue Nation. I believe the main bad guy in this film is a bad guy who carried over from Rogue Nation. I haven't watched Rogue Nation since I saw it in theaters, so I'd have to double check. But they do have him in charge. He's a bad guy who's in charge of the Syndicate from the last movie, which is this group of rogue agents that want to impose chaos and terror across the globe. Kind of the opposite of all the combined intelligence agencies that we have in the United States. So Ethan Hunt, Tom Cruise's character, has gone up against this guy before. And basically the plot of the movie is his group gets a hold of these 3 massive plutonium spheres, and Ethan loses them in the beginning of the movie, but the whole plot of the movie is he's trying to get it back. Meanwhile, the CIA has slapped him with due to him losing the plutonium, slapped him with this agent of their own that they want to follow in, and that's Henry Cavill. Now, the interesting thing about this movie is Henry Cavill, this is the movie that they wouldn't let him shave his mustache for, so it kind of ruined Justice League. But the mustache plays well. It plays really good in this movie. And Henry Cavill's... I love Henry Cavill. That guy's the best. So he really comes to play in this movie. He's totally believable as this CIA kind of assassin dude. So he's always over Tom Cruise's shoulder and like arguing with him about his methods compared to his own, because Henry Cavill's character is kind of known for being more of a like get the job done no matter what, as where Ethan Hunt is lowest body count possible. So they come to head a lot in the movie, but he was a good character. I really liked him. Then the returning characters that you get Ving Rhames back. and you get Simon Pegg's character back. So obviously his whole team comes to play in this movie, which is good. They're very likable characters, and that's another thing that makes these side characters better. Ving Rhames has been in the franchise since the beginning, but I feel like this movie he really got a chance to shine. And actually, the first time I think I've ever seen Ving Rhames like really have an emotional scene in a movie, and like he has a few emotional scenes in this movie. And he brings some tears to his eyes, and it's really good. And I really enjoyed his arc in this movie. Simon Pegg's always enjoyable to watch. He could do anything in any movie. I like this franchise with him because he actually gets to do a little bit of action, which is weird for Simon Pegg, but like it's kind of believable that he could throw down a little bit, you know. So I enjoyed it a lot. Like I said, I think overall this movie, it's got a really fun feel to it, and there's a lot of edge of your seat action throughout the whole thing. Like I found myself literally like sitting up in the reclining seat in the movies, like oh my god, this is really intense. What's gonna happen here? And it was really good. I really enjoyed this movie. I'd say that Ghost Protocol is probably still my favorite, and I think it's because I didn't expect Ghost Protocol to be good after Mission Impossible 1 through 3, and that one really took me back. Wow, that was great. This one's just under that for me. So I would say this one, I'd say Ghost Protocol, Fallout, Rogue Nation, and then maybe 3, 1, 2 is my order for the Mission Impossible movies. But it was really good, and I really hope you guys go out and see it. I mean, shit, Rotten Tomatoes has it at 98%. That's ridiculously high for the 6th movie in a franchise, but it's totally deserving, and I hope they make 3 more of these freaking movies, because honestly, if you keep writing at this talent level, and you keep doing this, you gotta cash in while Tom Cruise can still do these stunts. You know, he's getting up there in age, so next 3 to 4 years, let's get freaking at least 2 more of these things made, you know, because I truly believe that this is one of the movies 4 through 6 might be one of the best trilogies out there, and that's saying a lot. I mean, I'd say it's just as good as any of the if you take the Marvel trilogies and throw those out there, I'd say the 4 through 6 Mission Impossible movies are as good as those. I think so. Like if you compare them to like Iron Man 1 through 3, I think it's better than that. You compare it to Thor, the 3 Thor movies, I'd say it's right on par with that. You know, the Captain America movie, same thing. But it's really good, and it's nice to see a franchise like this it pays off to keep watching them. And as long as JJ's team keeps cranking out these stories, I think we're going to see a lot of Mission Impossibles from now on. All right, now I'll throw some spoiler warnings out there. Big spoiler warnings going to go on the screen any second here. There it is. Anyways, so now we're going to get into spoiler territory for this movie. Right off the bat, the plot of this movie: bad guy from Rogue Nation has a bunch of plutonium that is going to get stolen. Ethan's team is supposed to abstract the plutonium. In the beginning of the movie, they get a chance to do it, and then they get picked up by a random group of the Syndicate. And Ving Rhames' character actually gets held up, and he is held at gunpoint for the plutonium. Now, Ethan has he's really back in a corner. He doesn't know what to do. He leaves the plutonium by this car that they're going to escape in, so that he can get out and save Ving Rhames. He saves Ving Rhames. The Syndicate makes off with the plutonium. Since it's a failed mission, now they have to track down the plutonium in order to get it back from the Syndicate. But the CIA, like I said, the CIA puts Henry Cavill's character in place as sort of a backup to make sure that nothing goes wrong. What the hell is the name of Tom Cruise's group? Is it IM? Is it Impossible Mission? I can't remember what they're... IMB? IMD? IMT? Oh, whatever. It's not important. Anyways, so he gets put in place as sort of a babysitter of this group to make sure that, above all else, doesn't come down to Ethan's team or anything like that, that Henry Cavill will make sure the plutonium gets secured. So he tags along with his team for the movie. They have great chemistry. All these guys have great chemistry together. In fact, there's a few amazing scenes, like when Ethan Hunt is planning, when Tom Cruise's character is planning the mission with everybody, and typically they go back to classic Mission Impossible moves like fake masks and all this stuff, and he says that's part of the plan, and he shows him the case that they make the fake masks in, and Henry Cavill's character looks at it and he goes, "Are you freaking serious?" He goes, "I can't believe you actually do this shit." Like, he doesn't believe it. A CIA agent isn't up with all the stuff that Ethan Hunt's group is. So it's really cool to see him play into that sort of thing. Anyways, the plot of the movie rolls on, and they get a chance to get the plutonium back. They have to meet with a buyer who is supposed to be setting up the exchange between the Syndicate and Ethan Hunt's people. Ethan Hunt's people are obviously undercover, pretending to be other people. Now, this leads to an interesting altercation where they end up, the buyer, or the liaison, the buyer between the Syndicate and Ethan Hunt's character, Ethan Hunt's group, is setting it up so that they can, in order for them to get the plutonium, they need them to bust out the leader of the Syndicate, the guy that they took from the last movie. Now, that's a big problem for Ethan Hunt. He doesn't want anything to do with that. He's like, I can't, it's against my moral judgment to free this guy. And their plan is they're going to cut off his prison transport and kill all the policemen that are hiding it. Now, Ethan obviously has a huge problem with that because he couldn't kill these people. So as this thing goes down, you're like, what the hell is he going to do? And he ends up ramming the police truck off the road into the ocean, where his team is there to pick up the bad guy, and it's awesome. And then as the movie progresses, you kind of see that Henry Cavill's character has like ulterior motives, if you would, and his character ends up betraying Ethan Hunt's group as a way of, because he works for the Syndicate leader. He works for the main bad guy, and it's awesome the way it plays out, because they catch on earlier in the film that he's doing this. So they set up a trap for him. They set up this trap by Simon Pegg is supposed to be taking the face of the crime lord because they're going to rush him to this meeting. And in order to do that, he's got to get the scan of his face, and they do this whole exchange where he puts on the mask and he's going to go out. He's going to do this swap so he can pretend to be him. But when they do that, they actually take the actual villain out and leave Simon Pegg chained up in this place they're holding him down. So when they leave, Henry Cavill comes over to free him, and there's this exchange with him where he's saying like we got to get you out of here. This is crazy. This is clearly a revenge plot for you against Ethan, and we just need to get the plutonium and just start chaos. And it's amazing, because then he catches it when Simon Pegg. When Henry Cavill catches on that it's Simon Pegg and not that, that's just a great exchange. It's such a good Mission Impossible, just pull the rug out from underneath the villain. It was amazing. Anyways, chaos ensues. Henry Cavill's guys show up and end up busting him out, so they all escape. Henry Cavill makes off with the actual main bad guy, and that leads to all these crazy car chases through the city, and the scene where in the news we heard that Tom Cruise was injured by jumping roof to roof. So similarly, that scene takes place, and you can just see it. They left it in. They left it in where he hit the building. It's brutal, and they just cut away, and then all of a sudden he's running fine on the top of the building, because obviously this was weeks later. But man, that guy fucking goes hard. Tom Cruise goes hard for these movies. You got to give him credit. He never dials it in. Tom Cruise might not be the world's greatest actor. You know, it's been a long time since Jerry Maguire days, but this is literally. You got to give him credit for being such a badass actor like he is, and just going all out all the time. So, anyways, the plot develops. They end up going to this jumps continents a few times, and then they end up in the Middle East, in Kashmir, which I didn't know was a actual location somewhere in the Middle East. I thought it was just the Led Zeppelin song and a fabric. But so apparently Kashmir is a real place, and they end up in Kashmir, where they're going to confront the Syndicate before they can set off these bombs and these nukes and destroy a huge chunk of this world. So plot breaks down like this. Ethan's team find the bombs, and then Ethan confronts Henry Cavill's character, who's making his way away with the kill switch for the bombs, basically. And there's a crazy helicopter chase through these canyons, and it's just nuts. It's super unbelievable, but it's nuts. And then obviously it comes down to an actual fight between Ethan Hunt's character and Henry Cavill, or Tom Cruise's character, Ethan Hunt, and Henry Cavill's character. And that's the only part of this movie that I was just like, come on, it's all unbelievable, but there's no way in any world that Henry Cavill could get beaten up by Tom Cruise. But you know, Henry Cavill's character gets when their helicopters crash, he ends up getting pretty messed up, so maybe there's something going on there. But anyways, obviously at the end of the day, Ethan Hunt wins, ends up getting the kill switch, ends up killing off the bombs before they get to explode, and peace ensues throughout the world. But The only thing that I really dislike and I wish it carried on was I liked Henry Cavill's character so much that I wish he didn't have to die in the film. Now, he gets brutally killed. Like, they're on this cliffside and a helicopter is hanging by a little hook, and as they're both climbing, which also harkens back to Mission Impossible 2, you know, Tom Cruise's mountain climbing skills, you see that the helicopter hook comes loose and literally gets him in the head and drags him to his death. And you literally see his blood like splatter on the rock before it gets engulfed by the flame from the exploding helicopter. It was pretty rad, but I just wish that his character didn't have to die, you know, because I feel like he would have been a good villain to bring back in the next movie, you know, but they kind of did that with this movie by bringing the other main villain back, but it was awesome, and I really, really dug this movie. I thought it was by far one of the best action movies I've seen in a long time, and like I said, I rank this just below Ghost Protocol for me. So if you're a fan of the Mission Impossible franchise, or you're maybe even just a fan of the new ones, you got to go out and see this. It was definitely better than Rogue Nation, just under Ghost Protocol for me personally, but the action's totally there, and the hand-to-hand combat's awesome, and the chase scenes are awesome, and basically everything you want in a Mission Impossible movie wrapped up in this new movie's in a nice little package for you. So that's my 2 cents on the matter, guys. Thank you for watching this video. Please like, please subscribe below, and we'll catch you next week.